This is at SeaTac, which is Seattle-Tacoma International Airport in Washington last night. 2 planes were struck.
West and the south, at least 2 people were killed and about a half dozen injured from heavy rains and high winds.
The heavy rain swamped streets and stranded cars there. Rescuers using boats pulled drivers to safety this morning.
The blood moon is a rare celestial event, yet for the 3rd time in less than a year, the moon will dip behind the Earth's shadow, appearing a deep coppery red for a few minutes.
Widespread flooding prompted more than 100 water rescues in the Louisville metro area overnight Thursday into Friday morning. Twitter images from Catherine Kington of WAVE show authorities helping victims as submerged cars and buses have nowhere to go in the waist-high water. Radar estimates put 4 to 5 inches of rain in the southern Indiana-Louisville metro area overnight. The widespread flooding caused many road closures and some schools to be delayed or closed as well. Flood warnings remain in effect on Friday as rain in the area is expected to continue. I'm Matt Sampson, the Weather Channel.
Some residents in the southeast Bakersfield neighborhood are concerned for the safety of neighborhood kids due to an infestation of honeybees. 23 ABC's Mark Christian is live tonight at the abandoned property where the bees have taken refuge. Mark.
Well, Gracie, this infestation is causing fear and holding many of these residents hostage inside their own homes. Now, as you can see, the bees have made their hive inside a hole at the stucco at the back of the house. The abandoned house is surrounded by other homes where families live with their kids, and all of these kids have been stung at one time or another.
It is dangerous because there is bee stings that can cost you your life, and especially a small child.
And now they're even afraid to go outside.
I don't want to play in my backyard no more.
Yesterday, this 2-year-old boy was attacked by the bees.
Parent had to run out with a water hose in order to save him from the bees. So, it's getting really critical around here.
And now there are hundreds of dead bees on the ground where the mom tried to get rid of the rest of them, while the hive continues to thrive.
There's a lot of bees at the back of the house.
Fortunately, the little boy received minimal injuries, and the boy's father tried to seal up the hole to keep the bees from swarming in his backyard. Now, in the past, the residents have considered calling a bee removal company, but the cost has hindered them from doing that. But they've tried to use pesticides on the hive, but the bees kept coming back.
For the last 2 or 3 years, I've been calling everybody to try and get rid of these bees because of these little children. They can't come out and play. They can't do anything.
Gonzalez lives across the street and has stepped up to help because of the language barrier. But so far, nobody has been able to help.
Enough is enough. The city needs to do something around here.
In most cases like this, the property owner is responsible for moving any infestation. Now, 23 ABC learned that the vacant house is in tax default, and the county has plans to sell off the property. In the meantime, these neighborhood kids just have one request.
Please, someone take the bees away.
Now, we've learned that the Kern County Department of Agriculture and Measurement Standards has a program where honeybees can safely be removed. But so far, we've contacted the department and we've not heard back from them. Back to you.
Hopefully our guys are staying safe out there.
Yeah, Mark.
They're pretty close to
yes. Run away, Mark.
Run if you see them swarming. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Today's tornadoes in the forecast. We know for the mid-Mississippi and Ohio valleys, we're told severe weather is expected to rip through the region. So let's get Chad Myers to break it all down for us where we can expect it. How bad is it going to be, Chad?
You know, there will be tornadoes on the ground today, no question. We didn't have any yesterday, didn't expect them. We had hail and wind damage, but we'll have them from Evansville to Paducah and on up to Cincinnati. Now, not in those cities particular, but 50 miles either side of those cities, there will be severe weather. It's warm. It's 80 degrees. Now, it's not spring for Buffalo over the weekend. I get that. But it's warm from Tulsa through Springfield, Paducah, Louisville, maybe all the way to Cincinnati. That's the area of enhanced severe weather today. Tomorrow it moves to Nashville, Chattanooga, Birmingham, all the way down to Tuscaloosa, all because of the cold air on this side, the warm air on this side. And eventually the cold air does make its way all the way into the Northeast. I can't put that away. And yes, that white is the S word. You talked about it yesterday. There is snow coming down. And Cheektowaga, Lackawanna, Tonawanda, all of my old towns around Buffalo, I am sorry, more snow is coming for the weekend.
That just looks like a lightning strike, right, in the sky. So why am I telling you to come to your television screen? Because there's an airplane. Boom! There it is in slow-mo. This is at SeaTac, which is Seattle-Tacoma International Airport in Washington last night. 2 planes were struck. Passengers on the plane told local media that people made a loud gasp in the cabin and were worried until they were safely on the ground.
Ashley Lee lives at Whispering Hills Apartments, and Ashley's been kind enough to be on the air with us this morning and tell us what went on. So, Ashley, let's just remind everyone, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning that you first knew that there was something going on. Just walk us through a little bit of that right now.
About 2:30, my phone went off with a severe weather alert saying that there was a flash flood warning in the area. I ignored it, and then about 4:45, 5 o'clock, I heard my neighbors out on the porch being rather loud. Mentioned the apartment below me, and I kind of woke up to that because it's a friend of mine and she's 4 months pregnant, and I was like, what's going on down there? And walked outside and saw nothing but water. Yeah,
I mean, we're showing your pictures as you talk, and pictures you took from your second floor apartment, just showing the water all the way up to the headlights in these cars, and so much water in the parking lot of your apartment building. Now, I know you've moved downstairs to talk to your friend, and the water's receded a little bit, enough for you guys to walk around right now.
Sorry, what was that?
No, that's all right, Ashley. I know you were talking to folks around there. Can you just show us a little bit in the building there where that water kind of got in around your friend's apartment?
Yeah, give me just a second. You can kind of see a little in here, all the mud.
Oh, you sure can.
And you can see where it was just all over the place and just stuff everywhere.
Oh, Ashley. Please tell them I'm so sorry about that. It's just because that mud and that water, as the water recedes and the mud's left behind, it's incredibly difficult to get that out of there, and also just to get it cleaned up. Now, in the parking lot in front of you, the water's gone down a lot. And I know that you're right there by that creek that floods, and you're a little concerned that it may flood again later on today. So let's talk about what you see in the parking lot.
Lots of mud everywhere. Cars with their electrical systems just fried. Pretty much no water left standing in this side of the parking lot. The back half, it's still standing a little, but not as much. I think we're more concerned with the GE fire behind us than anything right now.
Let's talk a little bit about the GE fire. We've got 30 seconds to talk about it. You can smell the smoke, because how close is it to you?
I can actually see the smoke right there.
Yeah.
It's less than a mile away from us.
Some pretty cool video coming in out of Russia. These guys just standing on the side of a river taking some video, and all of a sudden there is a wall of something coming directly at them. And look how fast that bridge disappears. Anybody have any guesses as to what that is? We've seen things like this before, like a dust storm where you see that big wall of dust coming in. Sometimes a summer shower, a downpour, you can see it moving in. This is neither of those. Guess what this is? Yeah, you see that stuff falling out of the sky? No, that's not volcanic ash. That is snow. So that was just a big old snow squall, a wall of snow coming in down the river, and these guys got some awesome video of it.
There is an extra special and rare total lunar eclipse taking place this Saturday morning. It has some people worried for this Easter weekend. The blood moon is a rare celestial event, yet for the third time in less than a year, the moon will dip behind the Earth's shadow, appearing a deep coppery red for a few minutes. And this will transform the skies over North America, Asia, and Australia into a deep red color. Now, there are several interesting things about this particular blood moon. While some eclipses can last an hour or more, this will be the shortest lunar eclipse of this century. It's also taking place the morning of Easter Vigil, which is traditionally observed as the period between Good Friday and Easter Sunday. The eclipse also falls within the first night of Passover, which is observed by Jews worldwide beginning Friday at sunset. Now, according to NASA, the rare tetrad of 4 alignments in close proximity has only happened a handful of times in the last 2,000 years. The final blood moon eclipse of the tetrad series will take place September 28, 2015, which also happens to be a Jewish holiday. Many people believe that these lunar eclipses and their appearance on auspicious dates signals a world-changing event that's about to take place.
The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. Joel 2:31.
Now, regardless if you believe in the blood moon prophecies or whether or not God created the sun, moon, and stars to be signs for mankind, we are witnessing a pivotal time in the Middle East. Current events seem to be moving us toward World War III. So whether or not these blood moons are warning us about nuclear war, it's safe to say that something pretty major is about to happen. Now, there's something else about this tetrad series that's pretty bizarre. It happens to fall in a Shemitah year. This is something that hasn't happened for 2,000 years. Rabbi Jonathan Cahn points out in his book, The Mystery of the Shemitah, that these years in the past have brought down economies, kingdoms, and nations that haven't followed God's will.
A very major thing happened that escaped most people. The Shemitah began in the autumn of 2014, and what happened is within 1 week of it beginning, and remember the Shemitah can mean the fall, within 1 week, America was overtaken. Russia became the greatest nuclear power on earth. It actually surpassed it the first week of the Shemitah. The second week of the Shemitah came something even more major, and that is that the American age that began in the year 1871, when we became the strongest economic power on earth, came to an end. America was dethroned as the Shemitah began. It is now China has taken the crown of America. Now, I've warned since the Harbinger came out, I've warned that if we don't turn back to God, there is going to be the crown that America has worn as the head of nations going to be removed. We are seeing the beginning of that right now. And so we are watching, actually, when the same week that the Shemitah began, Wall Street went crazy for about a month. Now, the pattern of the last Shemitahs have been that often at the beginning of the Shemitah, you don't notice anything, but there are often foreshadows. Well, the major thing, if something's going to happen, the major period is going to be coming up is always at the end of the Shemitah as we approach September. That's the time of that wipeout. I'm not saying it has to happen, but I believe we need to be aware of it. And interesting, people who look at signs, one of the signs in the Bible of judgment is the darkening of the sun or an eclipse. Not that it always is, but it can be. On the day that we get to the wipeout day, Elul 29 of this Shemitah cycle, the sun's going to be darkened at that time. The last time that happened was 1987, when the sun was darkened at Elul 29. It led into Black Monday, the worst day crash in world history. I believe we are going to watch, if we don't turn back, if this nation keeps on going on its course, we're going to watch the fall of America or the shaking of America. And the American age that you and I and all our listeners have known since we were born is going to come to an end.
You can witness this rare event for yourself. The action starts at 5:16 a.m. Central Standard Time on the morning of April 4th. The Earth's shadow will slowly move across the moon, covering it entirely just before 7 a.m. I know that's a little bit early on a Saturday, but it's going to be a breathtaking spectacle, and you're alive, so get up early and witness it.
This morning, severe storms are lashing the heartland. Possible tornadoes caused some minor damage in Kansas and Oklahoma. Louisville, Kentucky is dealing with flash floods. The heavy rain swamped streets and stranded cars there. Rescuers using boats pulled drivers to safety this morning. Tim Elliott of CBS affiliate WLKY is in Louisville. Tim, good morning.
Good morning. There are major emergency operations and rescues happening all over the city of Louisville, including right here at this apartment complex. You can see these people behind me being rescued from their apartment complex by boat. This scene is playing out all over the city of Louisville. At last count, there were 42 water rescues, but you can bet that that number will certainly rise. The rain has been falling steadily for several hours and so far shows no signs of letting up.
To cut their water use by 25%. 22 News reporter Dave McKay found out how it could impact supermarkets, stores, and restaurants here on the East Coast.
California officials say drought could be the new normal for them, but it could also mean that it's a change for lives on the East Coast as well.
California is in a historic drought, and their governor, Jerry Brown, is taking action.
I'm issuing an executive order mandating substantial water reduction across our state.
Surveyors found the lowest snow level in the Sierra Nevada snowpack in 65 years of record keeping. The state relies on that snowpack to help replenish its reservoirs.
I think there's more produce grown in California to be shipped out around the country than any other state in the country.
Nearly half of U.S. grown fruits, nuts, and vegetables. And California farmers report already suffering deep cutbacks in their water supply, letting hundreds of thousands of acres go unplanted and laying off thousands of workers.
Restaurant owners I spoke with said the price for produce hasn't been affected by the drought in California quite yet on the East Coast. But if it does, you could be feeling the price of food on your table go up in the near future.
More or less, we're going to have to absorb all the extra costs of the case of lettuce and tomatoes and everything. So
it'll get you price-wise sooner or later. You know, I think they've been able to deal with it a little bit over the last couple of years, and prices have been fairly stable. But like I said, all you need is more drought, and it's gonna hit us sooner or later.
If you go to a California restaurant, you no longer just get water given to you, you'll have to ask for it.
Our top story this morning, deadly spring storms across parts of the Midwest and the South. At least 2 people were killed and about a half dozen injured from heavy rains and high winds. In Mississippi, severe storms on Friday caused problems for drivers in the northeastern part of the state.
In Tennessee, heavy rains drenched the state. There were also damaging winds and reports of downed trees. Thousands lost power. And in Kentucky, the body of a woman swept away by floodwaters has been found. A second woman died when a tree fell on her tent at a campground. More than 5 inches of rain fell in parts of Kentucky as emergency crews were rescuing people trapped by the high water. The storms have dissipated and better weather is expected today.
An update to breaking news out of Mission Beach that we brought you first at 5. Nearly 24 people had to be rescued from strong rip currents. 10 News reporter Preston Phillips is there live in Preston. You spoke to 2 girls who had to be pulled from the water.
Yeah, I take it. They were actually part of a different rescue that happened about 45 minutes after those 22 people had to be pulled from the water. As you can see behind me, though, a very packed Mission Beach still at this hour. A lot of people enjoying their spring breaks. But back to that rescue, 10 News cameras were rolling from a distance as lifeguards pulled Marilyn Engelhardt and her friend Marissa Gutierrez out of the water. Marissa told me this was her 5th time getting stuck in a strong rip current and having to be rescued. First time for Marilyn. Marilyn told me she didn't expect it would be so harsh and pull her way away from the shoreline so fast. She told me she was afraid she was going to drown. Both said it took a long time to get back in because the rip current kept pulling them out.
You couldn't move. It was like you're just stuck there. You try to swim, but it doesn't work.
It like pulls you down and you can't really get out. I would say stay close to shore and just make sure you're always with someone and
just if you can't swim, don't go out very far.
And lifeguards tell me they've made at least 60 rescues out here today. Again, right around 4:30, those 22 people had to be rescued at the same time in front of Tower 13. Caught off guard by a strong rip current. Took 6 lifeguards to do the job. All are safe. No one had to be taken to the hospital. Hats off to these lifeguards here tonight, though, doing a heck of a job. Reporting live from Mission Beach, Preston Phillips, 10 News.